Mike, yeah. Fuzzy. He can take you with him on a bus or train, on a highway or on a plane, backstage or on a bike. It's Kevin Kline's Fuzzy Mike. Fuzzy Mike interviews. Not top of mind, not even the news. No way. Just a bunch of stuff that Kevin likes. All recorded with this Fuzzy Mike.
You get the Don King reference. It looks
either that or a tip of a horse's tail.
So we'd like to thank you all ahead of time for listening to Fuzzy Mike with your friend Kevin Kline.
Welcome to another episode of the Fuzzy Mike. I am your host, Kevin Kline, and the Fuzzy Mike, basically what it is it introduces you to unique stories, fascinating people, and the person that comes up with the term fascinating and unique is me, your host, Kevin Kline. So there might be a little bit of subjectivity in that, but I think we can all agree today our guest is probably one of the most fascinating and definitely has one of the most unique hobbies that I think you're going to find. It's Orry Martin, the Texas snake hunter. How are you?
Not bad, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. Okay, so I guess you're going to get this question all the time. We'll just knock it right out of the way. Why snakes?
Oh, man, that's been a childhood passion of mine ever since I was a little kid. I grew up, and actually I wanted to study turtles, and mainly just because my dad didn't allow me to have snakes around the house because he was petrified of them. But my mom loved snakes, and so anytime he would go over into the Gulf, because that's where he worked, was on an oil rig, I would go out and I'd catch snakes, but then as soon as he'd come home, have to get rid of them real quick. So, publicly in front of him, it was always marine biology. I wanted to study turtles, but then once I moved to Texas, I started catching snakes, caught my first copperhead, and then I was ruined after that. I got my first field guide, started studying them, and then I realized I can capture snakes, and I can hide them in the house, and my dad won't find them. And so then I started stocking up on snakes in the house, and he never got wind of it, but eventually he did come across, and he actually let me get my first snakes, which happened to be a corn snake and a milk snake, and after that it just started running with it.
So at any given time, how many snakes have you had in your possession?
I've never been one of those massive keepers because I've always been a huge person who goes out and photographs and films them more educational. But at most, probably 15, 20.
And have all of them been poisonous or
No. I've only had a few venomous ones at one time. The most venomous snake that I've had was I watched a friend's Gaboon Viper for a little while, and that was the most venomous snake that I've probably had.
Is that the most venomous snake in the world?
No, definitely not. I mean, they're definitely one that you would not want to get hit by just because their venom is extremely virulent, and they inject so much venom into the victim, but they're real placid, real laid-back snakes, but they're just one that so many beginning keepers want to get because of them looking so placid.
Orry Martin, the Texas snake hunter, is my guest. We have the Texas Rattlesnake Festival coming up this weekend, March 12th and 13th at the Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe. We're going to get to that. We're going to find out exactly what we'll learn and what we'll see at the Texas Rattlesnake Festival. But where did your love of animals come from?
Definitely from my mom. I mean, my mom grew me up loving animals. While every other kid had toy boats, toy cars in the bathtub, I literally had turtles, snakes, and frogs in the bathtub with me, swimming with me when I was growing up.
Why are people afraid of snakes?
I honestly think it's misinformation, just lack of education. It's someone telling them something that's not true. In other words, that person's fear being imprinted onto them. And if they just would truly see the information and look at it from a non-biased side, they would see that snakes are nothing to worry about. And I send that challenge to anyone who meets me. If they say, "Oh, I'm afraid of snakes," I'm like, "Come snake hunt with me one time. Just come one time." And so far, every single person who's come snake hunt with me one time has walked away appreciating them. And then not only that, they said, "I had so much fun tonight." And I'm like, "You're daggum right you did, because it's a blast. It's so much fun."
Well, Orry, you're quite a character. I've seen some of the videos on your YouTube channel. The chase by a herd of cottonmouths.
Chased by a nest. Yeah.
Chased by a nest of cottonmouths. You're literally, how far away from that cottonmouth were you when you filmed that?
Oh, I mean, I'm right there on him. Yes, I'm right there on him. So
this is a real cottonmouth. He's standing up, opens his mouth up. How do you know he's not going to strike at you?
That's the thing is I do not know that he's going to strike on me. It's just I follow the evidence. And so with all the cottonmouths that I've caught, and I mean literally that number has to be up into over 1,000 by now because I've caught so many cottonmouths. with all the cottonmouths that I've caught, I have to sit there and, judge each one of them. How many of them have had strike at me just for no reason whatsoever? And I can tell you that number is very close to 0. With thousands under my belt, we're talking less than 10 easily strike for no reason. Now, yeah, the warning strikes definitely come, but like those strikes are the ones where they have no intent at all at hitting you. It's just like, hey, get back. Hey, what are you doing? Trying to get my attention. But in terms of actually striking at me, cottonmouths are huge bluffers. That gape that you saw where he just opens his mouth, that's their cup of tea. That's what they like to do, because you got to think of it from their point of view. We are warm-blooded animals, so I mean, burning calories, we just eat often. These guys are cold-blooded, so everything that they do, even making their venom, costs them precious energy. And so since they don't want to waste that energy, then they don't want to waste that venom, what do they gain from biting me? Because, number one, if they bite me, I could kill it. Because remember, snakes are fragile. And so he has no reason to do that. So he relies on that gaping for the most part. Or as you saw in that video, their next step is they're going to bolt. They try and haul butt away from you. And so I never really knew if he was going to, but I was prepped for if he was. And so
how do you prep for that?
And so like you saw me, I was knelt down. Like I never actually sat on my butt next to him.
Right.
I was knelt down, and I'll just never take your eyes off the animal. Never at all. And so have I had close calls? The closest call I've ever had to being bitten by a venomous snake was from a cottonmouth. I was tailing one of them, and he used the stick that I was using as an anchor for him. He used that as a way to swing up and over my hand, and then he turned around and tried to bite me on my hand. And it was hands down the closest call I've ever had. And so
you've never been bitten by a venomous snake?
That is correct. Never
Have
been
you been bitten by a non-venomous snake?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, you don't count those because, I mean...
What does it feel like?
It depends on the snake. So if you have a large constrictor, like a large python, they can hurt if their teeth get stuck in you. But I mean,
they have a row of teeth that goes backwards.
They do.
And your intention or your initial reaction is to pull away from them, and then that locks it in like a fish hook.
It does. Definitely, it'll lock it in. And so definitely the key thing with big pythons is when they bite, just give them their space. You can hang on to their head to control their head if you want to, but you just let them let go themselves, and you will receive the least amount of damage from your bite. And that's the hardest part, is just trying to control that reaction of pulling back. But I have all king snakes, so none of my snakes are huge constrictors. So when they bite you, it's nearly inconsequential. I mean, you may
Does
bleed.
it draw blood?
You could bleed. You could bleed. But I mean, if you got bit holding one of mine, you would probably laugh afterwards, and you would say, "Is that it? Really?" Like everyone just has this. Again, it's an innate fear because of the way we've been raised and what we've heard people say, that a snake bite's just awful. And I mean, I can tell you firsthand that any other animal who bites you, bites your kid, if it's a non-venomous snake, it's going to do minimal damage.
Compared to a bee sting, how does it feel?
Oh man, a bee sting? I would take I'd take any snake in my garage and let him bite me 100 times compared to one daggum bee.
Really?
Yeah, a bee? I don't like bees. I mean, I don't go around killing them, but I mean, I don't want any of them stinging me, that's for sure.
We're in your backyard. It's a beautiful day, 75 degrees at the end of February. Mm-hmm. Are snakes still hibernating?
No. We don't really have hibernating snakes over here in East Texas, just because it never really gets that cold. And so they kind of do go into a state of more just sluggish movement. But, I mean, if it rises up like this, they can go out and start hunting. A person posted on Facebook today just a photo wanting identification of a ribbon snake that she had in her backyard. And she's like, look, he's got a meal in his belly. So even in this 75-degree weather, they're out there actively hunting. Snakes are doing their job nearly year-round in the state of Texas, except for in the places where it gets really, really cold.
How come we see them more than in July, August, and June than we do in March or February?
See, it's the opposite for me. Like July, August, and June, I see them less. I get the most snake calls for removal March, April, May, and that's the breeding season. And so that's when the snakes will move long distances because they're attracted from the pheromones from the females that they're going to breed with. And so they'll move much longer distances than even they would normally move in hunting.
So how far away from a female could a male smell or sense?
I honestly don't even know that science.
Because like the Komodo dragon, the Komodo dragon can go like, I think 2 miles.
Yeah, but they're a lot larger, and they have a much more sophisticated sense of smell. And I mean, it's very similar to the snake, though. They use the Jacobson organ and the forked tongue. And I know they could smell for very, very long distances, but that exact number I don't want to put out there because I don't know it. So I don't want to lie to people.
So your education about snakes, about tortoises, about animals is constantly evolving.
Yes, without a doubt, because I'm always learning new stuff, you know. And that's the thing is, usually everyone should just strive to keep on learning new things. And that's why whenever people say, "Oh, is this impossible?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know that just yet. So let me check it out for you, and then I'll figure it out." But I always do try and find the answer. Yeah.
Are venomous snakes typically prone to outlash, or do they flee as well?
I'd say 80-90% of them will run, but you will find a few of them who will stand the ground, and it's not really standing the ground in defiance of you. And a lot of people, they get threatened by that. I don't know why, because like I'm pretty comfortable with me as a man, so like I don't really think that an animal is threatening me. I just have to look at it from, the animal's behavior type aptitude. And so the animal, he's going to rely on, number one, camouflage. And so that's why if the cottonmouth sits still or the rattlesnake sits still, he wants you to think, number one, he's not there, or number two, he's dead. He's dead. And so just walk on by, just move on by. Because if he is to move, that could gain your attention and potentially lead to his demise. And so then if that doesn't work, they can do one of two things, and that's either run or stand and prep. And so when they prep, that's literally what they do. They're just going to stand there and wait for you to make the mistake. And so that's why one of my good buddies said it best. He said that once you see a venomous snake, the danger part is over. There's no more danger once you see it because you can always choose to walk away.
Is that the best thing to do, is just slowly back away if
one
of them is standing
of course.
up?
And like that's the thing is, if he's right by your feet, yes, of course, like slowly back away. But I mean, if he's 10 feet away, the slowness aspect really doesn't matter. Because I mean, if you run away, it's not going to affect him whatsoever. He's still going to either run or just still chill there like in shock. Oh my God, is this guy coming back? Something like that. And so yeah, whenever you see a venomous snake, by all means, leave it alone. Because 80% of bites happen by people either trying to capture or kill the snake. And that's why whenever I do my snake removal service, I tell people, if you can, just keep eyes on it. Because the thing is, if you lose your eyes on it, the snake's going to leave the first chance he gets. And then whenever I come over there, the chances of me finding a snake is a needle in a haystack.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's tough. Unless you saw him go under something, now we know where he's at. But if he goes into a field, kiss him goodbye. I'm probably not going to find him.
One of the funniest things that I saw on your Chase by a Nest of Cottonmouths was you actually went up to the cottonmouth that had its mouth open at you. You stomped your foot next to it and then ran away. It never moved.
Oh, yeah. Never moved.
Never moved.
Never moved.
So then if I'm running on a trail, because we do a lot of trail running, my group and I, we do a lot of trail running, and I'm running on a trail and I step next to a snake, I'm not really in that much danger?
Yeah, like if you step next to a snake and say, for instance, there's a copperhead right there inches from your foot, and you have bare leg exposed, so like he could bite you. Yes, you are potentially in danger. And so the thing is in that instance, I mean, some people say slowly move away. If it was me, I'd jump my foot out of that direction as quickly as possible.
Well, yeah,
so like,
we're running, so I mean...
Yeah. And so the thing is if he were to time his strike that perfectly, I mean, I got to give props to the snake. Number one, he's a beast.
Pretty much.
I mean, could it happen? Yeah, it could happen. And so that's why I tell people, make sure if you're going to run on trails, do the best hours of the day. If you run early morning, you're putting yourself at higher risk. If you run late at night, you put yourself at higher risk. There's a road that I've caught over 40 copperheads on in an hour. And there was this one night I was driving. I just moved probably, I mean, at least 12 copperheads off the road. And whenever I move them off the road, I just park my truck, get out, I take my snake hook, and copperheads are such jerks. Like, they just sit there and they freeze, and they don't want to move for me. And I'm like, I'm trying to save your life, dude. Just get off the road. And then he'll turn and he'll strike, but not like at me. He just strikes in the air like, hey, leave me alone. So then I'm like stomping, trying to dance him off the road, and he won't move. And so I'll sit there and I'll move him with my hook, and then he'll go the opposite direction. Again, like, they don't realize that you're trying to save them. That's because when snakes get scared, they just go whatever direction they think is the safest way. They don't really know because they don't analyze everything, and so they just bolt manically. And so I finally get them off the road, and when I was leaving, there was a runner running on the road, no flashlight whatsoever. And I tell you, it's dark. And I told the lady, I said, excuse me, ma'am, I really wanted you to know that I just removed easily 12, 15 copperheads off the road before you, and they're crossing a lot right now. And so you need a flashlight, you need something, or else you're running the risk of getting bit. And she was like, oh my God, I had no idea. She goes, I've been doing this every night since I moved in this neighborhood. Thank you so much. And so I saw her there later. She had a flashlight, but just, I mean, even still running on that road. Whew.
So light will chase them away, snakes away?
It'll actually make them, with a copperhead for the most part, it'll make them freeze. They'll stop. But I mean, the thing is whenever you're running, I just don't know how keen your senses are going to be on terms of being able to see and separate a cottonmouth's pattern from a dirt road, because that's what she was running on. And that wasn't a smart road to be running on. But again, that just goes to show you whenever you say, are you in danger? Yeah, you're in danger. She said she's been doing it for years. Has she ever been bitten? No, she hadn't been.
This is kind of the question that I was thinking about when I was coming up here, because trying to equate the amount of times people get bitten by snakes. Mm-hmm. More people get bit by dogs per year than probably get bit by snakes. Is that a safe assumption?
My child just got bit by my dog, sadly.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm a huge dog lover. And that's the thing that cracks me up is just everyone, whenever I talk to them, and they, of course, know that I catch snakes, they always say, like, you have snakes around your daughter? Oh, my gosh. Like, they look at me and they judge me as I'm such a horrible parent. when in actuality, not a single one of my snakes has ever hurt my child. And nor would they, because I wouldn't let my child hold a snake that I thought was a bitey snake. And plus, she's just way too young, so I would never let her hold it because kids like to squeeze, and so she would squeeze. And yeah, a dog that I've trusted for 7 years of my life, I raised her. She bit my child in the face for no reason. And so people don't take into account that dog bites kill roughly 50 people in the United States every single year, and this is children mostly. Whereas you look at snakes, in the whole United States, 5-6 people every single year die of snake bite. And so it really is skewed. Like it's very odd the way people hate snakes and even run massive events where they slaughter and torture them, but yet the same thing doesn't happen to these other animals who kill way more people than snakes do. So yeah, it's very odd, very, very odd.
I want to talk about the dichotomy that is Orry Martin, the Texas snake hunter, okay? You are a conservationist.
Yes.
Preservationist. Mm-hmm. However, you still have 12 snakes in captivity. Mm-hmm. How do you reconcile that?
Well, I mean, I only buy from captive populations. So in other words, like, I don't take from the wild. If I go out into the wild and I see a snake, I may take it for photography and for film, but then I release it back in the spot in which it was captured within the next day. If there's a snake that all of a sudden I get them and I don't get the chance to film them, sadly, I just lost my shot, because I'm not going to keep a snake more than a day, because there's been studies showing that the longer you keep them in captivity, the less likely they are to do well back when you release them.
Okay, so the snakes that you own are pets.
Yes.
You've bought them from somebody who bred them.
Yes, they're captive snakes.
They would not fare well.
Exactly. Yeah, if you were to let them go, you were running the risk of almost sending a death sentence to your snake. Is that a certainty? No. I mean, your snake could be let go and he could do well.
Sure.
But more than likely, it's got to be 50-60% of the odds he could die easily.
Is there any truth to the rumor that the more you handle a snake, the more docile and domesticated it becomes?
I think that one probably depend on who you talk to. I've got some snakes who I have seen that evidence, and then I've got other ones who did the quite opposite. I've got one snake who's one of my favorite snakes. She's a desert king snake, and I would let you hold her. She's been to so many kids' birthday parties, been held by countless people, and in the past year, she's just decided, you know what, I'm going to be a butt. I'm just going to start biting you. Every time you take me out, I'm going to bite you. And so now she's huge on just the feeding response. Like and I don't know if it's just because there's other, I have more snakes now, and she's a king snake, so she eats other snakes. I don't know if that's just got her fired up, but she is hefty on, if you hold her, she's going to bite you. I mean, she will bite you. So sadly, you're not going to get to hold my gigantic desert king snake.
Well, darn, I'm so upset about that,
She would chew
Orry.
on your finger, and you'd know it too.
Here's the other interesting dichotomy that I found about you. On your Facebook page, it says personal interests, and the first personal interest is God. Snakes in the Bible do not have a popular or positive reputation. They represent evil.
Well, not necessarily. Like, for instance, whenever Moses went back to Egypt, what did God use to represent his staff and his power? He turned Moses' staff into a snake. So even God used serpents as a way to even represent himself. And it wasn't saying, hey, God is evil. It was saying, you need to respect me and respect my power. And so that snake represented God's power, and also represented, you need to respect what's about to come to you if you do not do what I say. And so it's not that snakes represent evil. Yes, it is a sad, unfortunate event that Lucifer took on the shape of a serpent to tempt Eve and Adam, but snakes do not represent everything that is evil in the Bible, and they represent something that should be feared and respected. And
Shouldn't all wild animals be feared and respected?
They should be. And like, that's the thing, is I say so loosely feared because we kind of mix that word into fear, something you should hate as well. But I mean, in the Bible, they don't use that terminology at all. Like, they even say you should be a God-fearing man. Why? And it's not because you should fear him because of that. It just means respect more than anything. Like, know your place. And the same thing for the snake. Like, know your place with it. If you go over there and you attempt to kill it, you could lose your life in doing so. And so respect that animal. And yes, you're right. Every single animal out there, we are moving on to their territory. We are sharing this earth with them. And if you believe in the biblical sense like I do, we are also dominion over them. So it's our job to take care of them as well, to look forth to their well-being. And the things that people do to snakes is absolutely atrocious. So
let's talk about that, because the Texas Rattlesnake Festival happens this coming weekend at the Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe. Completely different than what happens out in West Texas with the roundup.
Yes, without a doubt.
What is the roundup?
So the rattlesnake roundups, they started easily 40, 50 plus years ago. And what they do is they just go out, they capture a whole bunch of snakes, upwards of hundreds to thousands of rattlesnakes, and then they take them, put them in a pit, and then they slaughter them. And just the methods that they use to do so are ridiculous. And that's the thing, is that they get away with it because of all the justifications that they use for it. So the first thing they say is their venom is used for anti-venom production and for vaccines for dogs and a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, we've actually contacted all of the well-known anti-venom producers that we can think of, like MedToxin Labs, and every single one of them tell us that they will not purchase venom from rattlesnake roundups. And the reason being is because most of those snakes are taken using gasoline, where they dump gasoline into their burrows. And not only does this gasoline kill the animals inside the burrow, but the snakes that make it out then suffer actually a worse fate. And so the gas is just horrible. And I can't believe that Texas is actually one of the few states that still allows dumping gasoline into the earth to be able to get these snakes out. And so then once they get snakes, they take them into the pit. They do all these shows with them. And they'll take the snake, and it cracks me up because they try and go, this snake is so aggressive. It'll kill you. It'll kill your mom, your wife, your dog, everything, okay? And so then they'll put it up on a table, and they'll say, watch this snake strike this balloon because he's so aggressive. And I love this video on YouTube. You got to watch it. This JC puts a rattlesnake up there, and he's trying to get the snake to bite a balloon. And he just is flashing in front. This rattlesnake never would bite it. And he was, popping it on the head, trying to really make it mad. And the rattlesnake was just hiding his head, just trying to be like, oh man, like stop. So finally he had to switch out rattlesnakes, and he went through a few rattlesnakes before he finally got one of them up on the table that would bite the balloon. And I was just like, you see there? And that's why I made the video that I made online, was to show people that rattlesnakes aren't the way that they actually portray them to be. And so yeah, if you go to Oklahoma, their rattlesnake roundups are even worse. They actually take the rattlesnake, they put him on a table, and they break his back on different sections to make him sit still. Then they hold his mouth open, they rip his fangs out with pliers, and then they take his mouth and they sew it shut. They usually freeze him to get him to do this, because freezing a snake will make him move slower. And then they let people take pictures with them, and $5 for a picture, and then they just throw the snake away after he's dead. And here in Texas, we do the blood bathing, where you can let your child go up there and pay a little bit of money, and they'll wring the snake's blood out into your child's hands, and then he can go and put his bloody handprints on the wall and then sign his name in blood, saying that he bathed his hand in rattlesnake blood. So and again, like, I've seen some of that stuff myself, because I'm an avid hunter, and yes, I'm a wildlife conservationist and a hunter. I know that
no, I understand the difference there.
Yes, it's a big difference. But some of the things, I'm also big on respect your kill. Like, I'm a huge duck hunter. You will never see me take a duck and then wring its neck and bathe my hand in its blood and then make a huge festival out of it. Like, I'm not going to do that. And so I don't understand why in the world these snakes get treated this way. Well, I do get it. I mean, it's the fear and hatred aspect of it, but it's just, I can't believe that stuff goes on. I really can't.
Orry Martin is the Texas snake hunter. Why do you call yourself the Texas snake hunter? Why don't you call yourself the Texas snake wrangler? Or no, I mean, because hunter
You're
is
absolutely right.
death by.
So in my mind, like, it was two reasons. So hunting to me always meant searching for it. Didn't necessarily mean killing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, ever since I've been growing up, I go turtle hunting. I never killed a turtle. And then I want to go frog hunting. Never killed a frog. But also, I thought just like you, if people see Texas snake hunters, they're going to want to click on my channel and think, oh, I want to watch this guy kill a whole bunch of snakes. And then they'll get educated. So that's what I was going for.
Okay.
Is hopefully they'd watch it and not click me off immediately, and hopefully actually get educated and wait to see me kill the snake, and then all of a sudden I walk it away and talk about how it should live. And then I praise the good Lord for letting me interact with this animal, So that was my goal in it.
Now, that's what we're going to see this coming weekend at the Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe with the 3rd annual Texas Rattlesnake Festival. This is a no-kill event.
You're correct.
And what is the purpose of it?
Oh, the purpose of it is to try and get the rattlesnake roundups, what's left of them, to reform. That's our goal. Is because over in Florida, they actually used to have rattlesnake roundups where they would round up the eastern diamondback rattlesnake, and they've actually killed off so many of them that they're now being evaluated for endangered species, federal protection. And so now, actually, a few of the rattlesnake roundups in Florida, they actually heard about the rattlesnake numbers getting low, and this one gentleman in particular, I can't remember his name, but someone brought to him the evidence of, I can't believe you're letting this slaughter go on with this endangered species. And surprisingly, I mean, most of these guys, especially the ones in Texas, are so like, no, I'm not going to listen to any outside sources. This guy said, well, show me this data. And so they did. They showed him how the numbers are getting lower and how he's killing off all these animals. And he said, well, we need to do something about this. So he turned his roundup into a rattlesnake festival. And now not only did their numbers not go down from becoming a no-kill event, their numbers went up. And now it's celebrated all across the United States. Like, people travel from all across the United States to come to their event to see these big, gigantic eastern diamondback rattlesnakes. And kids have a great time. Kids are not getting subjected to murdering wildlife for no reason, torturing them. And that's our goal. We want the Rattlesnake Roundups here in Texas to see us doing this festival, educating people correctly on identification and rattlesnake behavior. And we want people to come and learn and love this event. And we want them to take notice and be like, oh my gosh, they're doing it. Snakes are not dying. And people actually would rather come to their event to see snakes not killed than come and watch us slaughter them. That's a very, very hard thing for us to do. Very hard thing. Because sadly, people love the gore spectacle. Like they do. It's weird, but people want to see the blood and guts. And we just hope that over time we can try and get those people on our side. Get those people to want to see that they are far more beautiful, intact, alive, and doing what they do than they are being slaughtered and watching children bathe their hands in their blood.
I got to be honest with you, brother. There's not one single animal that I want to see hurt or dying.
Yeah.
It kills me, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's like a crying baby or an animal in distress. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't care what animal that is.
Yeah.
You talk about the eastern diamondback rattlesnake over in Florida, near endangered species. What happens to the environment if there aren't any rattlesnakes?
Rattlesnakes, everyone knows that they control rodent populations, and rodents carry so many diseases. And the big ones right now is, of course, the Black Plague is making a comeback in a few localized areas. And if that started to spread due to rattlesnakes going down, that would suck. That would suck big time because the Black Plague causes heavy deterioration in your muscle tissue. I mean, I've seen people with just jet black fingers and then death, and it's carried just by a flea that feeds on the rodents, And so once those rodents get closer to human populations, those fleas will start feeding on people as well, and then you'll see that spread. And then the scariest one to me is the Dagenham Hantavirus because that one's just a respiratory-borne virus, and so all you have to do is just breathe it in. So if a rodent who has it has droppings or urinates next to your house, that virus goes airborne. You breathe it in. Most people think, oh, I've just got the flu, and then they end up dying a few days later. I mean, it's a very deadly virus.
So are rattlesnakes immune to these viruses?
Well, I mean, it's just whenever you ingest it, it doesn't affect them. And the thing is their venom is actually proven to kill or denature several of this stuff. So whenever they bite the prey item, their venom luckily will go in and just wreak havoc on the animal, go ahead and start the digestive processes. So whenever they swallow it, yes, it does no effect to them whatsoever. They're designed for handling these type of things.
Eastern diamondback versus western diamondback, which one gets bigger?
Oh, the eastern diamondback's the biggest viper we have here in the United States.
Biggest one ever?
They're massive. I want to say, probably over 8 feet. Here in Texas, there's said to be some 8-foot western diamondbacks, but that's not been confirmed to my knowledge. I personally have caught a 6-foot western diamondback, and I've heard of 7-foot.
Where did you catch that?
I caught that one over in Hudspeth County, Texas, and I've got pictures on my phone. She was amazing, like absolutely amazing. And that's the thing is I've caught so many western diamondbacks, and I will never be able to burn her out of my mind just because I'm so used to picking them up, putting them in the bucket. It's no big deal. Her, we've got the whole capture on film. I get out, and it's just she was bending my snake hook because she was so heavy.
Wow.
And so I'm getting out, and I'm picking her up, and she just won't fit on my snake hook. She's so big, and she won't let me get a hold of her tail. And so I was going to use tongs on her, but she was so fat the tongs wouldn't go over. And so like I just kept chasing her, trying to get her to coil up, and she finally did. She coiled up, and I picked her up with the snake hook, and just like I'm kind of skinny, so like all my veins are popping out my arm because she's so heavy, and I put her in the bucket. And anyways, the next day we pull her out in the sunlight because this was all nighttime when I was catching. We pull her out in the sunlight, and so just the sound her rattle makes, because she had such a large rattle, the sound her rattle makes is just heavenly. Like it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
He does have goosebumps.
Like I loved the sound of her rattle, and I took her out, and she did the most epic strike pose that you would ever see, just a dream one. And I'm going to show you a picture of it while you're talking.
Let me ask you this, getting back to oh wow, that is a beautiful picture. You're looking at that right now on the Fuzzy Mike webpage. She really stood up like that.
She did, and so
never struck at you though.
No, if I would have gotten close to her, I'm sure she would have, but I stayed about 6 foot away from her, and she's on my YouTube channel too if you want to go watch her. It's in the Western Diamondback, I believe 2011 film.
That is amazing.
And, yeah, she was phenomenal. Oh my gosh, and you can hear her rattle in the film too. And she's
Orry Martin, the Texas Snake Hunter, is our guest on the Fuzzy Mike. The dichotomy that I wanted to get back to is you are in a brand new house. It's been built in the woods. Mm-hmm. We're encroaching on snakes' territory. Mm-hmm. Where are we chasing them?
Oh, they're staying in my yard. I've caught several of them in my yard.
Really?
Yeah, I've caught a few Texas browns, a few rough earth snakes, and then several ribbon snakes. I've got this one ribbon snake who almost every time I mow, he pops his head out and looks at me, and I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? And so last time he decided to bite me. I guess he doesn't like me, but I thought he liked me. And so, yeah, any snake that I find on my property, if it's a venomous one, I'm going to move them across my fence and probably go stick them back there. But if all of these harmless, non-venomous snakes, they're more than welcome to stay because we've got bugs galore. And so they're more than welcome to help themselves out and help eat the bugs, help eat anything we got around here.
You've been snake hunting for how many years?
Ever since I was a kid. I believe the first snake that I ever caught, my dad said was I was 3 years old. And that's the thing is he claims it was a cottonmouth, but my dad, God bless him, he doesn't know snakes all that well, but he says I brought a cottonmouth up to him from the pond next to our house, and I said, Daddy, I caught a snake, and he was sitting with my preacher, and he goes, Mark, isn't that a cottonmouth? And he goes, yeah, it is, but don't scare him. He goes, that's good, son, go throw it back. So I went out there and threw it back, and that's when he said, I got to get that boy in lockdowns.
What's the difference between a cottonmouth and a moccasin?
Same snake. It's the
same snake.
Same exact snake, yeah. It's just a common name. People use them interchangeably. Some people do believe there's a difference, but no, they're the exact same snake.
A buddy of mine told me that he heard that the water moccasin is the most aggressive snake in Texas. Is that true?
You've seen my video, the chased by a nested cottonmouse? Same exact snake.
It was very, very scary.
Yeah.
What that cottonmouth
That's
did.
what I'm saying. And that's if you go read just the comments on that YouTube channel, you'll see people just cussing me out. Like, that's the thing is people know that I'm passionate about snakes. There are people who are equally as passionate in their hatred for this animal. And they feel like I am bashing them or questioning their ability to say the truth or to see things. And so these people have sent me death threats.
Really?
Oh yeah, they hate my guts. They cannot stand me because I've said that a cottonmouth will not chase you. And they sit there and they always have the story, and I'm like, I extend the challenge out to anyone and everyone. If you say a cottonmouth will chase me, prove it. All I say is just find a cottonmouth, record it, and show him running after you. That's all I want to see. And because that's the thing is, who do you think would have a higher chance of being chased by one? A person who sees one every now and then, or a guy who's caught literally over 1,000 of them? And not only have I caught them, I have chased them down. If there was an aggressive cottonmouth out there, I would have found them. And I've found from the smallest to the biggest one I've caught was close to 6 feet. It was an over a 5-foot individual in South Louisiana. Massive cottonmouth. And did she chase me? No, but she did the thing that I talked about in the video, which was a mock charge. And it's where right when I walked close to her, she held her head up real tall, and she moved towards me a couple of feet. And that's to scare me away. But since I didn't run away and I started walking towards her, what'd she do? She turned around and hauled butt. She was like, oh, shoot, it didn't work. And she ran from me, And that's because people get scared of snakes, and that's why they think they chase you.
Can all snakes swim?
Yes, all snakes can swim.
Now, at the Texas Rattlesnake Festival, which happens this coming weekend, Lone Star Convention Center, you said there's going to be an anaconda there?
There will be a green anaconda there, yes. Crossburn Corns, it's Adrian and Laura Berg. They have a pet anaconda, and that little gal, and it's a guy or a girl, I'm not sure. I'm not the expert on sexing snakes, that's for sure. But it's a guy or a girl, and it's an absolute puppy dog. And that's the rare thing, is finding an anaconda that is chill. Because anacondas, just by nature, most of them are typically bite first, ask questions later. And any of them that you can find that are chill, you hang on to that sucker, because then she'll grow big, and she'll just be a magnificent tool to help people, number one, make their dream of holding an anaconda, but also getting to hold it safely, too.
Which leads me to a question that I've been curious about. How long can snakes live?
Depends on the snake. So some snakes live longer than others. All of my snakes, they're king snakes. If they hit 20 years old, they're doing great for themselves. Most of them around 15, 17 years old. So.
Anacondas, Burmese pythons.
Oh, man. See, I've never kept those, but I would definitely have to say somewhere around the same time frame. It'd probably be in the wild, it's even less, Wild snakes die a lot quicker.
Now, at the Texas Rattlesnake Festival that's coming up this weekend, Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe, how much are the tickets?
The tickets are $8 at the door. If you buy them online, you can get them for $1 cheaper, I think, per ticket.
What are the hours of the festival?
I believe it's 9 to 5 and then 10 to 5 on Sunday, or 10 to 4 on Sunday. I'd have to pull it up for you.
Kid-friendly event?
Oh, without a doubt. Kids will come and just have the time of their life because, you're going to get to hold so many snakes. So if you were a kid like me who just loved animals, dreams are going to be made that day. I would have given anything to have gone to this event as a child.
How does a person with a healthy fear of snakes get over it?
Baby steps is my best advice, because the thing is, if you just plunge in, you're not necessarily going to get over a fear as much as you may hit a milestone. You can say, oh, I've held a snake, but are you really unafraid of them anymore? No, that's not it. And so baby steps is definitely the best way to do it. And if you truly are interested in getting over your fear, find someone who actually does own snakes, and then gradually baby step your way into holding theirs. And then if you can find someone like me who actually goes out and catches them or goes out and photographs them, come with me one night. And that's the thing is, it's like I told you, everyone who goes with me comes away and says, I had a blast and I cannot wait to do it again. Because you're going to go and everyone is so scared to get out of the truck. I'm like, a copperhead. Oh my gosh, do I need to get out of the truck? Well, yeah, get out of the truck. You want to come see it? And so I'll come over there and I'm kneeling down right next to it. And they're like, you're that close? I'm going to stay back here. And so they'll stay back by the truck, take pictures of me. You're crazy. And by the time we've seen 12th, 15th one, they're right there next to me. They're kneeling right there next to me. They're taking a selfie with it up in the air next to them. And that's the thing is just you realize that this snake is not going to get you. Like, he's not after you. And if you were to get bit, whose fault is it? It's your fault. You were the only person to blame because you knew the snake was there. And if you go and you touch that snake, could he bite you? Yeah. And so you got no one to blame but you know?
But through experience, you've been trained many years.
You are absolutely correct, yep.
I have never hunted a copperhead, a cottonmouth, a rattlesnake. There's got to be some technique where you're going to be better at it, and I run a larger risk of getting bit.
Yes, it's more of just experience, and it's not really getting bit. For instance, like if I was handling one, then yes, you would have a higher risk of getting bit because you've never handled one. But in terms of it sitting in the road, would you be at a high risk of getting bit? You're every bit as equal as me. I mean, if that snake somehow morphed into a gigantic king cobra and then chased us to the truck and then bit us, then yes, that could happen. But for the most part, you are 100% safe unless you walk over there and you try and step on them, you try and grab them. I mean, you're not in any danger at all. And the only way for you to believe me is just you'd have to come with me sometime. And then
well, I'm going.
The offer's right there on the table, man.
I am going with you one
night. We'll go as
night.
Soon as spring hits and we get in full-fledged, we get a warm night, you call me when you want to go.
What do people need to do to get in contact with you to not only learn more about snakes, but if they have a snake on their property that they don't want there anymore, what do they need to do?
So I have a Facebook page. It's the Texas Snake Hunter. You just type it in, and you can send me a message there. You can always send me a text message. Text message is the quickest just because I can see a picture of the snake and give you immediate idea, tell you if he's venomous or not, and that's 936-524-3260.
What does the snake removal cost?
It's free. Our big thing is as long as we catch the snake, that's our fee. If you're nice enough to help save a life, we'll come get the snake from you. If you want to pitch into our gas, hey, by all means, we're not going to turn down a $10 gas donation because I'm not going to lie. If when gas prices were up, that was rough driving some long distances. But now it's not that big of a deal. And again, like I almost just applaud the person for doing the right thing and letting us capture the snake. The thing they're going to be disappointed about is they always say like, oh, move it far away. We're like, yeah. We can't, because if you move a snake far away, you run the risk of them dying. And so whenever you remove the snake, we actually only go a little bit away from their house.
Now, when you say far away and a little bit, how far are we talking?
Oh, we're talking less than hundreds of yards.
Really?
Yes, hundreds of yards away from their house.
Any more than hundreds of yards, why do they not thrive?
Snakes who get relocated farther than that, they get their internal compass, something about where they were raised, the area that they're used to hunting to, it throws them off for a loop. So then they end up wandering, and it makes them either get picked off by a predator, cross a road and get hit by a car. They just kind of lose their sense of being, lose where they're supposed to be and where their prey items were, because snakes grow up in an area and they really don't leave that given area for their entire life. So when you take them out of it, it's like taking you and throwing you in a new place with nothing and then saying, all right, live, survive.
Well, they really are a fascinating creature.
They are.
They're some of the most beautiful markings you'll ever see
without a doubt
in the wild.
Yep.
A western diamondback rattlesnake bites you. How long do you have?
Again, it's different for every person, but if we're talking about on average, you definitely have longer than a day, multiple days sometimes in some cases.
All right. Well, this weekend is the Texas Rattlesnake Festival. It's a no-kill festival. You're hoping that a lot of schools come on out and use it as an educational tool for their students, correct?
Oh, yes, because, I mean, that's the thing is we teach, I'm a biology teacher myself. And
what do your students think about what you do?
Oh, well, that's the thing is, like, whenever I talk to people on YouTube, they're like, it'd be so cool to have you a teacher. But then if you ask my kids, they're like, he's lame, you know? So, like, we have a good relationship because I am very much a big kid.
$7 for advance tickets, $8 at the door. The Texas Rattlesnake Festival, Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe, this coming Saturday, this coming Sunday. You'll be there the entire time?
Without a doubt, yes. I will be there the entire time. I'll probably be walking around with snakes, trying to get people to hold them, get over their fear. I'm going to be giving a presentation on rattlesnake roundups and the truth behind them. I'll be showing some of the footage of what we talked about, the bloody hand bathing and
I don't know if
all
I
of that
see
stuff.
that.
If you don't want to, don't watch it because I've got it in. And that's the thing is I have to show it because if I just say it, I don't have as much credibility. If you see it, so that way you know I'm not lying, I have to provide provide evidence. That way people, I'm not lying. And I will also, we're thinking about having a pit there in which we can release some Diamondbacks in, and people can see me interact with them. So that way, I'll have of course my snake-proof boots on, but I'll step over a log in there and show people, is this rattlesnake going to bite? He may not, and I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see their different temperament, but I just want to show people that in all situations, is this rattlesnake the aggressor? Is he coming after me? And that's my big thing, is just please drop away from calling snakes aggressive, because it does not happen. Snakes are not aggressive. Are snakes defensive? By all means, yes. Some are more defensive than others.
Humans are defensive.
Exactly. And that's what I tell people all the time, is I'm like, you get mad at that snake for biting you, but if I took your arms off, your legs off, the only thing you could do is bite someone, and I ran over there and just started stomping on you, would you bite me? And everyone says, I'd bite the crap out of you. And I'm like, me too. And so then that helps you level with the snake a little bit. They're fragile, and so that's all they can do. That's what they're going to resort to. And even then, some of them are so nice that even when you do step on them, like you saw in my cottonmouth documentary, I stepped on several cottonmouths there, and what did they do? They haul butt from me. And that's because they know that if they bite me, they run the risk of them dying themselves. Snakes don't want to bite you. So if you put them in that situation, you're testing them and you're at fault,
I think what we've learned about this conversation with you, Orry Martin, Texas snake hunter, is if you don't want to get bit by a snake, you won't get bit by a snake.
You are absolutely correct. You leave it alone, and you have a 0% chance of getting bit by that snake.
This weekend, Lone Star Convention Center in Conroe. It is the 3rd annual Texas Rattlesnake Festival. Tickets are on sale now, $7 in advance, $8 at the door. It's going to be a fascinating and educational time. It's a no-kill festival where you are bound to learn and most probably get over your fear of snakes. Orry Martin, I can't wait to go on a hunt with you, number one.
I look forward to it as well, trust me.
I hope you've enjoyed the pictures, and I encourage you to go to Orry's YouTube page. You've got the address right here. Go check out the videos. This has been The Fuzzy Mike with Kevin Klein, executive produced by Trish Snyder-Klein, and you're listening to it right here on thefuzzymike.com. If you know of an interesting person or an interesting story, feel free to email us to thefuzzymike@gmail.com, and who knows, they might be on the next episode of The Fuzzy Mike. Hope you've enjoyed the pictures, and again, check out the Texas Rattlesnake Festival this coming weekend. Conroe, Texas, Lone Star Convention Center. The Fuzzy Mike will be there. Will you?
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Fuzzy Mike with Kevin Klein. Check back often and stay fuzzy, friends. Fuzzy Mike is a presentation of the Kevin Klein Fuzzy Mike Industry, Incorporated.